Good evening everyone, Chris, Cost Performance Tuning. I'm just here pulling the 6 litre apart out of Russell's VE SS. We're actually going to build a 408 cube stroker, CNC heads, all the good gear in it. I just pulled it down and just found a few things that I just wanted to have a quick little debrief about. Is that you see a lot of cam packages. It's probably going to upset a few people me saying this, but this is just my opinion. There's a lot of cam packages out there done by shops that's cheap, seems good bang for buck, all of those things. We have been told a few times that we are dearer than most, and I just want to show everyone why. So first of all, the first thing with this engine of Russell's, factory rockers. Now most people know that that these are full of needle rollers, especially when you put a camshaft in with higher lift. It runs these out of range, and then the needle rollers go all the way through the motor. It's pretty obvious what's going to happen. Even on if someone come in to us with a VX LS1 and said I want to put a camshaft in it, and it was let's just say VCM 714, I would still put trunnions in it. They're only $400 and something to put them in. An hour's labour, it's not a big deal. Pretty cheap insurance if you ask me. The next thing, the factory push rods. I don't run them, even if it's a very mild thing. I always put hardened push rods. It's just something I've always done and want to continue to do. I just think it's good peace of mind. This is another one that's probably going to irritate a lot of people out there, but I will not run a standard timing set or even a Rollmaster single row timing set. I always run a dual. They're not that dear. I know it adds up when you put it all together. If you look at this one here, it doesn't even have a Torrington bearing, so it's just eaten into the cam retaining plate. ARP cam bolts, always do that. ARP balancer bolts, always do that. The next thing, the quality of the valve spring that you run, very, very important to me. These are the heads that were on Russell's engine. They look like they're standard springs. They might not be, I don't know. I haven't delved that far into it yet. And if you're laughing about saying putting a camshaft with standard springs because it will coil bind, don't laugh, because I've seen it many a times. What happens when they coil bind with a hydraulic lifter? They've got nowhere else to go, so the plunger and the lifter squashes, and it just breaks everything. Oil pump is another big one. I'm never to put a camshaft package into an LS without putting a new oil pump on it. In my opinion, I think that's crazy. So oil pump. If you start leaving out trunnion kits, hardened push rods, oil pumps, dual row timing sets, you can imagine why the price is cheaper. Now, this is in my opinion, once again, I don't think it's worth putting a camshaft in an engine if you're not going to do quality supporting mods, because you could have dramas just like this engine has had. On the off topic of camshaft packages and all that kind of thing, this engine, we've actually pulled it down so we can start the new stroker build. It's going to go on the down the bottom shed and get bored and honed and everything for the new rotating assembly tomorrow. Pulled all the bearings out, they were all good all the way through. Got to number 8 conrod bearing, and I'd noticed, you can see the trash that's gone through that, and see how the bearing is sitting in there. It's shrunk. That's from heat. You can see where the trash has gone through there. Anyway, yeah, it's from heat, so I thought, oh, there's an oil problem. Anyway, I got to the main, and the main it spun the main and started to weld itself to the crank. Now the problem isn't the main has damaged the crank. We can machine the crank. It's not a big deal. It's not ideal, but it's not a big deal. The problem is, as you can see, the block here, you might not be able to see too much on there, when it tears that tab off and spins the main, it just damages the block massively. You can't have any imperfections in the tunnel. If you have imperfections in a main tunnel, you'll be in a world of hurt. The only way we can fix this block now is to tunnel bore it. So machine the bottoms off the caps to close the tunnel up, and then run a big bore through the center tunnel, and it's quite expensive. So in this situation, we're going to upgrade because it was a stroker combination. In his quote, it had we'd priced to bore and hone it. So in this situation, the only difference that Russell's going to be up for is a cast iron block, which we stock. So that's going to get us out of trouble there. But the main reason I wanted to bring this to attention is this sump. Now, in any motor engine that we build, we put the windage system in a gated trap in the bottom of the sump to keep the oil around the pickup. If you drive a car hard, which most of us do, and you're drifting, you know, whether it's at a drift event, a power cruise event, donuts, you know, any of that thing, you know, excited driving, and you start losing oil pressure at RPM, that's what's going to happen. You'll run the bearing journal out of oil, so that it won't take long. As soon as you run out of oil, you'll lose. The crankshaft stops riding in that film of oil, metal to metal, tears the bearing out, and you end up with this drama. The gated traps for the sump are only like $400 and something, I believe, the last time I got one. So it's pretty cheap insurance. You could have all the best bits like what is going to be in this engine, and if you run the thing out of oil pressure, doesn't matter, you're still going to tear it up. So more the aim of this video was just to say, I see this stuff quite a bit, and just to say, you know, just be mindful. Cheap is not always better when it comes to engines. The poor man pays twice in motorsport, and I know because I've done it myself years ago. So next time you're pricing something up, find out what is in the build, what's in the engine, and make a decision based on longevity and performance and quality rather than price. Anyway, guys, hope everyone had a good Easter. I'll see you next time, and keep an eye out in the videos, because this is going to be one rowdy little aspirated street combo. I'll show through the process of building the engine and what parts and all that stuff's in it, onto fitting the engine into the car. We've already done time lapses of removing the engine, which you will see later, and shooting it up on the dyno. So it should be pretty interesting. Should be a little toughy. See you guys.